Hi folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Brew Crafters, the travel card game. It supports 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, and the average play time is 30 minutes. As a quick note though, the game does not support enough components to allow 4 players to play solo. You can do 2 players solo and 3 players solo, but if you have 4 people playing, then players need to split off into teams of 2. And I really don't like that. I just wish the game had enough components to support 4 players playing solo. I'd really only recommend this game for 2 or 3 players as opposed to 4. But that's just my personal opinion, mind you. Take that for what you will. Now you'll see some components here. You've got a deck of cards, and these cards look something like this. At the very beginning of the game, you're going to shuffle the deck, and then you're going to put 5 face up to form a public pool of sorts, sort of like in Ticket to Ride. In fact, there's actually a process later on, which I'll explain, that also resembles Ticket to Ride a little bit, but I'll get to that. Each player also gets a hand of 4 cards. Now, for the sake of just showing you how the game works, I've only dealt a hand for 1 player here, just to show you some of the game mechanics. I'm not going to play multiple people. Each person also gets one of these rep cards. They start off with 0 rep. You get these cubes to track it, just 1 cube per player, and they're trying to reach the 21 spot, and then someone gets the start player card and keeps the start player card so players know who started the game, because once someone gets to 21, everyone needs to get an equal number of turns in. That's the purpose of this. You've also got some guide cards here that tells you what you need to brew, or how to brew these particular things, ale, porters, for example, in order to gain your reputation points. So, again, at the beginning of the game, you're going to deal 5 cards face up like this to form the pool. Each player gets 4 players, and on your turn, you can do a few different things. You can draw 2 cards into your hand, either from the deck or from this pool here, just like in Ticket to Ride, or you can play 1 card in front of you, and it'll remain face up in front of you for its special effect for the rest of the game. Now, you'll notice that these cards have like special abilities, like Brewery Tour, +1 rep at the end of the game for each of these little wheels installed. So basically, if I had this card in my brewery at the end of the game, that would earn me +1 victory reps. You can earn more reputation points at the end of the game on some of these cards here. So you can play 1 card in front of you, face up for its special effect, or instead of doing that, you can play a bunch of cards. There's some ingredients here in the upper left-hand corner. You've got like wheat or grain, whatever that is. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's... I don't know what that is. Looks like sand, but I mean, I've never seen beer, brewed with sand. So I'm just going to say it's yellow stuff for the moment. I don't drink beer. I don't know anything about beer, so don't go crazy on me. There's fruit there. So you can play as many of these as you need to in order to brew one of these 5 beers here, ale, porter. And you can see you get different reputation points or victory points for each kind that you get. And based on some of these special effects, too. Like, for example, the Ale and Porter Specialist. If you have this in front of you in your brewery, you get +1 rep for each ale or porter that you happen to brew. So, if I had this in front of me, for example, and I decided to brew an ale, I would get 3 points plus the 1 bonus is 4. So, just to show you what some sample turns might play like, let's just go ahead and play some of this out. What can I brew anything right now? No, I cannot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 cards. I'm going to put these face up for the benefit of you guys. That way, I only have 1 hand too, so it's kind of difficult here. I'm holding the camera with the other one. So we'll go ahead and take 2 cards from the deck, or from the pile here. I think I'll take this one, and I think we'll take... I think we'll take this one. Okay, so that ends my turn, and we're going to go ahead and refill this now. And then the other players get to go. And let's say that the other players have gone, and now it's our turn again. There is a hand limit of 7 cards, by the way, so you have to discard down to 7 if you go too high. But we should have enough now to brew something, I hope. Porter, 2 wheat, 1, I think that's hops, and then 1 yellow stuff. We got this here. Malt Experts. Or do we want to put something into our brewery? For example, I can put this Night Shift. After brewing, you may also play 1 card into your brewery. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. For my turn, I'm going to go ahead and put this card into my brewery. This is my hand off to the side here. And then this will be in effect for the rest of the game. So every time I brew from here on out, I get to observe this card. And that's considered a worker. And those workers mean something because this employee manager says, +1 rep at the game end for each hired worker. So you'll get points at the end of the game for the workers and the equipment that you have if you have those bonus cards in your brewery at the end of the game. So anyway, let's just say it's my turn again. Let's say I could decide to pick up 2 more cards, or I can brew something. Let's say I decide to brew something. Let's see, I could do a porter. Yeah, let's do a porter. So that's 2 of these. 1, 2, these go into a discard pile. 1 of those, and 1 of these. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to discard all 4. Whenever you play cards as ingredients, they do not... my voice just cracked right there. But anyway, yeah, if you play cards as ingredients, you ignore their effects there. So these go into a discard pile, like so, and then you get bonus points. So you get... I made porters, that's 3 reputation. Okay. So there you go. And again, let's say other people take their turn. Now it's my turn again. I've got 1 card in my hand. I want to brew some more stuff. Actually, before I do that, I just realized after brewing, you may also play 1 card into your brewery. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and play this card in my brewery. So I'm going to go ahead and do that after brewing that porter. So now I have this card and this card now in my brewery. Now I have no cards in my hand. So again, let's say that everyone takes their turn. My turn rolls around again. I decide to take 2 from here. So let's just go ahead and take these 2. And then we'll go ahead and refill this. And then let's just say, again, everyone else has taken their turn. I'm going to take 2 more cards. Let's say I take this one and... Alright, I guess we'll take 1 from the deck. Okay, that's actually a good one. Okay. And again, let's say that other people have taken their turn, and it's my turn again. Let's say I pick up... Looking for something good here. +1 at the end of the game, +1 rep for each. Okay, let's take this one, and we'll take this one over here. Okay. So let's say that everyone else has taken their turn. It's my turn again. And by the way, if this deck runs out, you take all the cards from the discard pile and make it a new draw pile. All right, and then if this happens to run out, like if everyone has cards in their brewery and no one can make a draw pile from the discard pile, then the game ends and whoever has the most rep wins. But anyway, let's go ahead and brew something else. Let's go ahead and brew an ale. Actually, no, before we do that, we're going to play this card in front of us, this Hops Expert. This is going to be in our brewery from here on out. So this is a worker. Okay, and then again, everyone else takes their turn. Now it's my turn again, and now I'm going to go ahead and brew something. I've got this, and this, and this. I'm going to go ahead and play all 4 of these, and that allows me to get some points. I just brewed myself an ale. Now I've got this Hops Expert in my brewery, so I get +1 for that. So I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm up to 7 rep right now. And then my special ability, Night Shift. After brewing, you may play 1 card into your brewery. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Employee Manager into my brewery, and that'll stay in effect until the end of the game. And this is going to continue around the table. I think you get the idea. This is going to continue until someone gets 2 or exceeds 21 rep points, in which case each player gets an equal number of turns based on who was the start player, and then whoever has the most rep will win the game. Now, as far as what I thought, I think this is a fairly easy to play game. A lot of these card effects tend to repeat themselves. The only thing that's different, like there's a bunch of these employee managers in the deck, they just have a different ingredient associated with it. Like if I were to flip this over, let's see if I can find any that are the same. Brewery tour. Okay, so here's another example. Here's another brewery tour card. So after a while, most, at least in the games that I played with Vinny and Jen, we all had almost identical cards in our brewery toward the end of the game. Just the order of which we got them was different. Like I might have started with the Hops Expert, and Jen might have started with the Employee Manager, and Vinny might have started with the Night Shift. And then I added one of these, Employee Managers. So we ended up with a lot of cards in our brewery at the end of the game to help us out, but the order at which we did it was different. And the way I did it was I try to get this Night Shift card down as soon as possible. And there's some other cards in here that also allow you to take bonus cards. Let's see if I can find any. Farm, for example. After brewing, you may take 1 of those, I think that's hops, from the face-up draw pile. So if there's any hops here, I can take 1 of those. So I tended to play like the Night Shift and the Farm first. There was 1 for wheat, too. And we just lost power. Alright, so sorry about that, folks. We lost some power and my train of thought. So I think I was in the middle of giving a review for Brew Crafters, the travel card game. It's not bad, though, like I was saying earlier, the card effects tend to repeat themselves, and there's just not enough card effects to really make a difference. It just all depends on what order you get them out, because in most cases everyone's going to end up with almost the same stuff at the end of the game. There's only 2 cards that affect reputation at the end of the game, and in most cases players are going to have that in front of them. So it's like, this is a very light game. I don't own the Brew Crafters board game that this is based off of. And I honestly don't like the 4-player variant. So really, who is this meant to be for? Honestly, I think couples or very small families. I'm talking like, 2 parents and a child, that kind of thing, or 2 parents and maybe an older child because this involves beer. I mean, granted, beer generally isn't ideal for younger kids to play with, but it's simple enough to where, and there's no references here to like getting drunk and stuff like that. It's family friendly despite the fact that it involves beer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So Brew Crafters, really, I don't really recommend this one. I mean, it's not bad, but there are a lot of other games out there that support more than the number of players listed here, and I don't know, there's other games out there that also have more oomph to them than this one does. I suppose if you want a beer game but don't want to spend 45 to 60 minutes playing the actual board game, and this one may, fit the bill for you. But other than that, I really don't see myself playing this again. Jen, Vinny, and I just didn't really care for it all too much. I guess with that being said, if you want to see my full review, you can. www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.